A man walks out to the street and catches a taxi just going by. He gets into the taxi, and the cabbie says, "Wow, perfect timing. You're just like Dave." The passenger asks, "Huh? Who?" The cabbie explains, "Dave Smith. He's a guy who did everything right all the time. Like when I came along just when you needed a cab, things happened like that to Dave Smith every single time." The passenger remarked, "There are always a few dark clouds over everybody. Not Dave Smith," the cabbie replied. "He was a terrific athlete. He could have won the Grand Slam at tennis. He could golf with the pros. He sang like an opera baritone and danced like a Broadway star, and you should have heard him play the piano. He was an amazing guy." The passenger said, "Sounds like he was really something special." The cabbie replied, "There's more. He had a memory like a computer. He remembered everybody's birthday. He knew all about wine, which foods to order, and which fork to eat them with. He could fix anything. Not like me. I change a fuse and the whole street blacks out. But Dave Smith could do everything right." The passenger was amazed. "Wow, what a guy." The cabbie continued, "He always knew the quickest way to go in traffic and avoid traffic jams. Not like me. I always seem to get stuck in them. But Dave, he never made a mistake, and he really knew how to treat a woman and make her feel good. He would never answer her back even if she was in the wrong, and his clothing was always immaculate, shoes highly polished too. He was the perfect man. He never made a mistake. No one could ever measure up to Dave Smith." The passenger asked, "So how did you meet him?" To which the cabbie answered, "Oh, I never actually met Dave. He died, and I married his wife." One dark night in Dublin, a fire started inside the local chemical plant. In a blink of an eye, it exploded into massive flames. The alarm went out to all the fire departments for miles around. When the firefighters appeared on the scene, the chemical company president rushed to the firemen in charge and said, "All our secret formulas are in the vault in the center of the plant. They must be saved. I will give €50,000 to the fire department that brings them out intact." But the roaring flames held the firefighters off. Soon, more fire departments had to be called in as the situation became desperate. As the firemen arrived, the president shouted out that the offer was now €100,000 to the fire station who could bring out the company's secret files. But still the firefighters could not get through. From the distance, a lone siren was heard as another fire truck came into sight. It was the nearby rural township volunteer fire brigade, composed mainly of old men over 65. To everyone's amazement, that little rundown fire engine roared right past all the newer sleek engines that were parked outside the plant. Without even slowing down, it drove straight into the middle of the inferno. Outside, the other firemen watched as the old-timers jumped off right in the middle of the fire and fought it back on all sides. It was a performance and effort never seen before. Within a short time, the old-timers had extinguished the fire and had saved the secret formulas. The grateful chemical company president announced that for such a superhuman feat, he was upping the reward to €200,000 and walked over to personally thank each of the brave firefighters. The local TV station caught the thank you on film and asked the chief, "What are you going to do with all that money?" "Well," said Paddy, the 70-year-old fire chief, "the first thing we're going to do is fix the brakes on that bloody fire truck." There was an American wrestler from Texas named John who throughout his high school career had never lost a match. As he went on into college, he continued undefeated. He became a national icon and symbol of American strength. News began to circulate of a Russian wrestler who was fierce and unstoppable. As each wrestler's legends grew, a match was set up between the two. America versus Russia. The match would be held in Texas. John began training immediately. Every day his coach would tell him, "This Russian has a move called the Mongolian Death Grip. No one has ever escaped the Mongolian Death Grip. Do not let him get you in the Mongolian Death Grip." The day of the match finally came. Just before each wrestler stepped onto the mat in front of the capacity crowd, the coach once again said, "Whatever you do, do not let him get you in the Mongolian death grip." No one has ever escaped the Mongolian death grip. 4 seconds into the match, the Russian had the American in the Mongolian death grip. The coach buried his face into his hands and cursed John for not listening to his advice. All of a sudden, he heard the crowd erupt in a chant of "USA! USA! USA!" He looked up and saw the Russian pinned by John. The coach ran out to meet John and embarrassingly told him, "I didn't see. Once he had you in the Mongolian death grip, I looked away." "How in the world did you get out of the Mongolian death grip?" With heavy breath, John told him, "Well, coach, that Russian grabbed me and twisted my body in ways I never imagined possible. I was wincing in pain when I opened my eyes, and right in front of me were 2 testicles, so I bit them." "What?" said the coach. "John, I don't think that is legal. You could be disqualified." "I don't know about that, coach, but I can tell you one thing. You ain't got no idea how strong you are until you bite your own balls." A monkey is sitting in a tree smoking a joint when a lizard walks past. The lizard looks up and says, "Hey, what are you doing?" The monkey says, "Smoking a joint? Come up and join me." So the lizard climbs up and sits next to the monkey, and they have another joint. After a while, the lizard says his mouth is dry and that he's going to get a drink from the river. At the riverbank, the lizard is so stoned that he leans over too far and falls in. A crocodile sees this and swims over to the stoned lizard, helping him to the side. He then asks the lizard, "What's the matter with you?" The lizard explains that he was up in the tree, smoking a joint with the monkey, and his mouth got dry, and that he was so wasted that when he went to get a drink from the river, he fell in. The inquisitive crocodile says he has to check this out. He walks into the jungle and finds the tree where the monkey is sitting, finishing a joint. He looks up and says, "Hey, monkey." The monkey looks down and says, "Oh my God, dude, how much water did you drink?" A handsome man and a gorgeous woman met in a bar. They got along pretty well and were extremely attracted to each other, so they decided to go back to her place and have a drink. After a couple of wines, the man took off his shirt and washed his hands. Then he took off his socks and washed his hands again. The woman looked at him and said, "Hey, you must be a dentist." Dumbfounded, he asked, "Yeah, but how did you guess that?" The woman replied, "It was easy. You wash your hands all the time." As the night wore on and several bottles of wine were dispatched, they, of course, ended up in her bed. After they were done, the woman said, "You must be an extremely good dentist." The man boasts, "Well, yes, I've been told I'm the best around, but again, how did you know?" To which the woman said, "Well, it was easy. I didn't feel anything at all." My friends, if you want to watch other funny jokes, subscribe to the channel.